Welcome to my home! Risa Reviews and Recipes December edition. Look a little bit like an elf, don't I? Don't worry, I'm not going to cook in this. That'd be so dangerous. There we go. But I do have my apron. I am making a traditional, not traditional, figgy pudding. You guys know figgy pudding is a English dish served a lot in the winter time, but it's very heavy, a lot of molasses. It's a boiled pudding. What I'm going to make today is a new spin on figgy pudding, and it's going to be rice pudding with dried figs on top. It's going to be fantastic, but we're going to move quickly because it's really easy to make. The first thing I'm going to do is make custard. In my pan here, make sure I don't burn myself, I have just some milk and heavy cream, and I'm bringing it to a simmer right before a boil. As that's coming up and getting warmer, in this bowl I have egg yolks. I have 4 egg yolks. I'm going to whisk these together. I'm going to put some sugar, some cornstarch in here and whip it together. And then I'm going to do something really important, and that's called tempering. I want to make sure that I don't end up scrambling my eggs, so I'm going to take a little bit of the hot mixture and put it in the eggs a little bit at a time until the eggs are brought up to temp, which is called tempering. So here's my eggs. Here is a cup of sugar with a little bit of cornstarch on top. And the cornstarch is just going to help the mixture thicken. I love making custard. Give you a secret that is not super healthy. My daughter and I love making homemade steel cut oatmeal, which is really good for you, and topping it with a big dollop of homemade custard. So we get up in the morning and we start making oatmeal, like I said, healthy, and the other one starts cracking some eggs, heating some milk. The next thing you know, we've got custard on top of our oatmeal, which makes it less healthy, but so much more delicious. So you saw me mix my eggs with some sugar and some cornstarch, and I'm going to start tempering them. Got a ladle with a little bit of the hot milk in it, and I'm going to pour this in, and this is just bringing my eggs up to temp, because like I said, you do not want to end up with scrambled eggs. A really good way to know when your custard, when the egg portion is warm enough to be mixed directly with the rest of the milk, is when your bowl actually starts to feel warm. I want to say that this December is going to be one of the most exciting Decembers in the history of the library. By the time you see this, we will have gotten a brand new circulation desk. A little history on that. The library used to be a Carnegie library. In 1913 it was built, but it was remodeled in the early 70s, and the old desk went away. When you come in the library, maybe a quarter of the desk that we had was part of the original Carnegie Library desk, and the rest of it was pretty piecemealed. We have been working and have had a new, old-looking desk made, so I really want you guys to come in and see that. Oh, I can feel that's getting warm. I'm going to do one more. The other things we have going on is we have, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself because it's not until January, but we're going to have a winter reading adventure with cards, and they're like Pokemon cards, but they're dragon cards. Oh, Pam has got the most amazing ideas. She and Megan in our children's department are working on this. So there I have my eggs tempered. I'm going to mix it in with the rest of the milk mixture. I do 1 to 1, so I have 1 egg yolk for every cup of milk. So 1 egg yolk to a cup of milk. And I'm going to bring this up to a heat. And as it comes up, I'm using a whisk. The other thing that you can use, and I'll switch to it, is a wooden spoon. I don't use metal spoons, and I also don't use plastic spoons with this. I think you want something that's going to be a little bit more organic maybe, but I just like the way that wood helps to mix this together. As I stir and we talk, it's getting thicker and thicker, and all I'm going to add to this is some vanilla, because I love vanilla. And you know, this is my homemade vanilla. We made this last year with vanilla beans and vodka. Pour this in. You guys have to appreciate how well I measure things. And then I'm going to add rice. This is just leftover rice I have. If you have leftover Chinese food and you have the rice left over, rice pudding is fantastic. This is coming together. Okay, and as we stir it, you can see, oh, let me turn this off, I think it's getting warm enough, that it is getting thick. It should coat your spoon. That looks so good. Next thing I'm going to dump in is the rice. For rice pudding. That got a little messy. I'm going to stir that in. Rice pudding to me is one of those amazing desserts that is just as good warm as it is cold, just as good cold as it is warm. And I told you this is going to end up being a figgy pudding, and I'm going to put some dried figs on top of it. If you don't like figs, or you've never had figs, or you don't happen to have figs in your house, dried cherries, Christmas time, some dried cranberries, maybe some raisins. Any of those would be a great addition to this. I know a lot of people put raisins in their rice pudding. The last thing I'm going to add is a little bit of butter, because it wasn't healthy enough to begin with. But really, the butter helps it thicken and it makes it really, really glossy. So when I serve this in about 15 seconds, it's still going to be a little bit runny because it's warm. If you like it like this is perfect. It's going to be delicious. But when you put it in the refrigerator and you let it cool, it's going to sit up a little bit harder. This is not one of those recipes that makes my whole house smell delicious because it's very subtle. But oh my goodness, it is going to make my whole house taste delicious. I'm going to spoon up a little bit of, let me get something a little bit more practical than that. Here we go. How about a ladle? Dish up some rice pudding. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic holiday. Like I said, we have great programs coming up. We have a wonderful program starting in January that I'm not going to tell you about yet. But we always have fun things at the library. And one of the most fun things about the library is the fact that you come in and join us. Here's my rice pudding. Here's some dried figs. I'm going to sprinkle those on top. Wonderful mixed in. Merry Christmas to you, to all of your friends and loved ones. Thank you for joining me. It's going to be hot. Figgy pudding never tasted this good. Thank you so much.